Hello there, welcome to episode 98 of Never Mind the Bullens. It's your bite-sized Everton podcast and vodcast. I'm Mike Peters. Well, something that I haven't had to discuss for quite some time on this podcast. An away win. Finally, we've got one. And we rode our luck at times at Leicester. I think there's only two ways about it. Indulged in some classically Keystone Cops kind of defending, the type of defending that can really cost you when you're chasing points at the wrong end of the table. But all in all, it's been a terrific couple of days, and what a difference a week makes. They say a week's a long time in politics. Well, ain't that the truth? But a week's a long time in football as well. And think, casting back to when we were walking up to Goodison ahead of the Chelsea game last Sunday, and we're 5 points adrift of Burnley and Leeds. We're looking in real trouble. And you're thinking that game with Chelsea gone from a needs with a small n to win to a emboldened, capitalised, italics, underlined, you name it, needs to win game. And then we've gone to Leicester, we've done that, then gone to Leicester and backed that result up by getting another 3 points. And of course, with with Burnley, I should say, and Leeds losing, it's been a huge swing for us. I've got to mention the fans. Obviously, of which I am one, but those that turned up at Finch Farm on Saturday to see the team off as they were heading to Leicester, about 1,000 of them, and then those that went to the King Power on Sunday and just sang their hearts out. I'm sat, applauding from my vantage point at Emirates Old Trafford while watching Lancashire and Warwickshire play, and it was just absolutely brilliant, wonderful to see. And I said to the guys around me, I said, there are Evertonians that work in there. I said, no other club would be like that. Only Everton can do that. It's on a Saturday afternoon, all traipsing off, in cars, buses, vans, whatever, Ubers, you name it, to go and see the team off, to just show it. And I honestly think it made a difference. It obviously made a difference against Chelsea last weekend, and we had to, Frank Lampard said we had to replicate what we'd done against Chelsea, and the fans have done exactly what they needed to do, replicate it. The singing, and the fact that they're still singing 15 minutes after the game had finished on Sunday at the King Power was just testament to them. And now we've got to do that again on Wednesday night against Watford. Obviously, they've got nothing left to play for now except pride in the way that their home form has been. I mean, it's an absolute open goal for us, really. We have to take that opportunity, because looking at the form table, I know it's amazing. We've won, taken 10 points from our last possible 15. That one game that we lost was at Anfield, no disgrace in that, and we played well for an hour. We've gone and we've won that, and done really well. Yesterday, and we're thinking, well, actually, our form lately has actually not been that bad. And it's what you need to do in these situations. You look at Leeds' form; they've only won 1 out of their last 5. Their form has tailed off a little bit. Obviously, their result, the more significant thing than the result, actually, is the fact that Luke Ayling, who is a bit of a talisman for them and really key player for them, captain, I'm pretty sure, has got himself sent off with an absolutely horrendous challenge. Is a big blow for them. Obviously, we've got our own trouble. Yenny Mina going off yesterday. Not to what state he'll pull up ahead for Wednesday or for the 2 games at home against Brentford and Crystal Palace remains to be seen. Vitaly Mykolenko going off with cramp, but obviously he sounds like he'll be all right. And what a goal he scored! He should have scored last week against Chelsea and sealed that. But in a way, I'm kind of happy that he saved his goal for Sunday, because his performances week on week over the last 5-6 weeks have been getting better and better. Obviously, immensely difficult situation for him to come into. Never mind what's going on back at home for him. But coming into the club, new league, manager that signed him gets sacked a week after he signed him. Club obviously and the team in real dire straits. And his performances have just got better and better and better. And the fact that he's got cramp is actually testament to how good his performance levels have been. The fact that he's given everything on the pitch, as did they all. Pleased for Mason Holgate as well. I have been critical of him on this podcast, and I think with justification over the last 2 years. But he got his goal, and it was crucial. the goal that we conceded, of course, I mean, is right up there with some of the most farcical goals that Everton have ever conceded. I think still a high watermark for those of us old enough to remember it, or those there to witness it, was Paul Gerrard taking out Abel Xavier and almost knocking him unconscious. I think a game at Goodison against Newcastle. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, about 20 years ago, just over 20 years ago, which is just an extraordinary sort of comedy of errors, as was this. What Seamus Coleman was doing, trying to win a ball when you've got a 6'7" centre half right in front of you, was just ridiculous. And you're just thinking, oh no, this is typical Everton. You know, we get ourselves ahead of it the way we've been this season, get ourselves ahead of the game, ahead in the game as well, and then concede just such a dreadful goal. I mean, it's just inexcusable, really, at that level. It's sort of sub under nines, but you know, we've seen it so many times this season that there's no resilience in the team, but there is now. There is a resolve. There is a steel about them that sort of belief has been built by the fact that we've taken 10 points from the last possible 15, and that resolve saying that we can. So we have to stick at it. We can't just go into our shells and just capitulate as we've done so many times this season. As the stats shows, you know, nobody's conceded more goals or lost more points in winning positions than us this season, and we've just collapsed. But looking at it again at the league table, you know, we've won 10 games now, and you're thinking, well, actually, Crystal Palace, who are in 10th, have also only won 10 matches. And they're 9 points ahead of us. And he just says the difference being this season that they've drawn 14 matches. We've drawn 5. And that is the difference. And you're thinking, well, if we'd managed to turn some of those defeats into draws, you know, and an odd draw into a win or something, or just held on in matches, the game against Watford at home being the prime example of that from this season, you know, you're thinking, what a difference that would make. And, you know, that's for at the end of the season and looking ahead to next season. But the job isn't done yet. You know, we've got to go and do it again. But there's absolutely no reason now why we can't pick up 3 more wins. There's no reason why we can't win the last 2 home games against Palace and Brentford. I've always said that. And if we win the next 3 games, we are safe. We are well and truly safe. I mean, we are only a point ahead of Leeds and Burnley, but actually with the difference in our goal difference between ours and Leeds, that is effectively an extra point. You know, it would require a 16-goal swing over the course of the last 3-4 matches. And you look at it and you go, well, actually, we've got 2 points in 2 games, I should say, in hand on Southampton, who are only 5 points ahead of us. Now, win these 2 games, obviously against Watford and against Palace, and suddenly we've passed the 40-point mark, and we're starting to climb up into the lower reaches of mid-table, but we're away from the relegation zone. We can finish the season strongly. You know, win 3 more matches, and that takes us to 44 points. Well, at this current juncture, well, that's Palace are on 44 points. Brighton are ahead on that on 47, but you can end up finishing ahead of Brentford, and obviously we've got with Brentford to play. You know, we can get ourselves ahead of them. We can pull ourselves out of it and do that thing that will help us massively in terms of prize money. But the primary objective, if that is a bonus, both a metaphorical and a financial bonus, if we can get to that stage. But if we can, the primary objective obviously is to just really pull ourselves mathematically away from the precipice, and we have done that. But the job's only half done. Things are looking more confident. The players now know what they need to do. They have got a mindset now of what needs to be done. The effort that they're putting in, Abdoulaye Doucouré, Fabian Delph, Alex Iwobi again was just brilliant in terms of his effort, playing in that wing-back role and playing a more defensive wing-back role as well. The way he was tracking back and tackling players, he's making more and more tackles week on week. If we can continue this into next pre-season, we've got a real player on our hands for the next 12 next season. It's going to be brilliant if we can harness if we can keep that going and show. Now he has now shown to himself as much as to us what he can do if he really applies himself, like a school report, isn't it? But he has done that, and obviously I think it is crucial that Yerry Mina is fit at some point for the last few games. But I think with the confidence that's sort of swelling around the group, you would feel confident that Michael Keane, Mason Holgate would be able to have enough about them. And I've said on this podcast before that I've never seen a bigger confidence player than Michael Keane. If his gander's up, if he's up for it, then there aren't many better defenders in the league. If he's not, then he's an absolute liability. If his confidence is up for the next couple of matches, which chances are he's probably going to have to play because Yerry Mina may not feature at all. Hopefully he will. then that's brilliant. And, you know, testament to Mason Holgate. You know, the fact that he wasn't well on Saturday, but he was absolutely determined to play. And that is the type of commitment that we need and Evertonians expect. And we respond to as well, in terms of backing the players and all the rest of it, and showing that they care as much about the club and as much about their own professional pride as we do about the club. We don't have the professional pride. They have that as footballers, but we love the club. We'll be there long after they've gone. But, you know, we've broken, you know, the monkey is off our back, and it says everything about how, I mean, you know, my favourite stat of the weekend was the fact that our last 3 away wins have come under 3 different managers, which is testament to, how absolutely atrocious our away form has been, but also, you know, how the churn in the club and the change, and you're thinking, well, that now has to stop. You know, we need to start getting those away wins, making that away form better, which was such a, you know, strong suit of ours last season. Admittedly, with the, you know, the caveat that obviously all the stadiums were empty during COVID, but our away form has to pick up. It is what has cost us above all else this season. It has to get better going into next season. Depending on which division we're in, it will have to get better. But by the, you know, things are looking better, and if we make that change, then we suddenly start to climb the table. We know how the squad are now starting to show the talent that is within it, and the work ethic, and that is what we need. And if we can harness those two things, not just at the end of this season, but going into next season as well, then we can really, really improve and just show that this season was truly a blip, and really show and achieve something. We've shown that we've got capabilities. We showed it last season under Carlo Ancelotti, but we didn't kick on in the end, and we ended up finishing 10th. Next season, it's a case of, you know, showing that, and then actually achieving something, finishing in the top 6, getting into Europe, winning a cup or something. But I get ahead of myself, obviously. That's what Evertonians do. But the primary objective, get to Wednesday, let's go to Watford, and let's absolutely make sure that we win that, because if going into the weekend, it gives us a little bit of breathing space. That game in hand, you know, we can take ourselves 5 points clear. Oh, sorry, 4 points clear, I should say, of Burnley and Leeds. That's a massive cushion, and allows you just to turn the pressure valve down just a little bit going into that final week of the season. So, fingers crossed for that. If you want to get in touch with the podcast, you can do. Obviously, you're actively encouraged to do so at NMTBpod on Twitter, nmtbpod@gmail.com on the email. This has been a Top Content production, and until episode 99, goodness me, we're only 2 away from the 100, aren't we? Come on, you Blues.